And how are you folks this nice fine day? I hope that you are enjoying this August weather. And glad to have you back in school, glad to get the classes going, and particularly in abnormal psychology, which I stated, hey, this is the granddaddy of them all. And as we go through this, the first aspect that we're going to look at is some historical components and some cultural components of abnormal psychology. We're going to try to explore the entire spectrum of what we're talking about. Will it leave somehow? I probably will, but I will try to bring it together as much as possible. Before we go on, it's a little clerical, little business work that we have to look at. There are 3 forms that are posted. The original on these forms is due the 25th, which I believe is what, next Monday? And that's when the original is due on each of them. Now that means, well, how can I possibly do that much work on the 25th? Let me let you in on a little secret. You can do it ahead of time. Yeah, you don't have to wait till the 25th. There's no deduction for early submissions. Okay, so they are due on the 25th, and the reply is due on the 28th. Now, part of the reason for this is the first week we're really not settled in. Some students come in, some students leave, which is absolutely up to them. You want to leave, that's your choice. If you want to come in to the class, you're more than welcome to come into this. So, all 3 forms are due. I want to emphasize this. Here's another thing that I want to emphasize, is that all assignments for this section are open until October 10/10. Now, that does not mean that you have to wait until October 10/10 to do them, because this course is pretty much based on a chapter each week from the text. And we'll be going over the first 4 chapters. They're kind of, laying a groundwork for abnormal psychology. And then starting with chapter 5, we will be looking and visiting about the actual abnormalities. Now, in lessons, you will have a video of Willowbrook. View Willowbrook. And then in assignments, there's an essay in assignments. It's a 500-word essay that focuses in on the historical aspect of abnormal psychology, which includes the lecture on this video, and I may have to go over to to another video in order to get the material in. If I do, okay. If I can get it all in this material, that's okay too, because I try to keep these videos 10 to 11 minutes. Sometimes I run over, but that's what I try to keep them at. So we're going to be looking now at some definitions of abnormality. And I think that it's an interesting aspect, because individuals attempt to define abnormality. And I think that's great, because we need an absolute definition of abnormality. Why we need it, I don't know. We have what is called the DSM-5, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, number 5. And since it is called number 5, we've had in the past, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we have 5. And that's why they call it 5. Excuse me. So looking at some definitions, statistical deviation. Just because an individual deviates from some type of statistical deviation, from some type of stats, from the norm, does that make them abnormal? That's a question that we have. A social norm violation. As a rule, because I've only seen this happen once, We wear shoes to class. We wear shoes as a rule when we go downtown. We wear shoes when we go out in the evening. When I was going to school, there was an individual in school that never did wear shoes. All 4 years, never did wear shoes. Graduation came along, no shoes. I don't know whether this individual has shoes today or not, but no shoes. But was that a social norm violation? Well, we have a norm that we wear shoes. Was it an abnormality? I mean, I'm asking some of these questions. Was it a statistical deviation? Maybe it was a maladaptive behavior. Not really. Not really. I couldn't classify it as that. She didn't have any personal distress. And deviation from an ideal, I don't know if the ideal is wearing shoes or not, or going barefoot is the ideal. Since I've grown up, I've usually have worn shoes. When I was younger, I would go the entire summer without ever putting a pair of shoes on. So who's going to determine what the ideal is? Okay, did the individual without shoes, was there a medical disorder? It wasn't obvious because this individual was very friendly, happy, did well in class. The only thing is she didn't wear shoes. I know another individual too, and this was kind of interesting. This individual would, while I was studying in the library, that's the time we went into libraries and we studied in the library. This individual would have a large sombrero on and earphones in, and I don't know what they were hooked up to, but a guitar, and he would walk around past the library window strumming this guitar and singing. And it really wasn't that good either. It really wasn't. But at a certain time, and it was just during the time that I was in the library and was studying, it was my allotted time that I had for that, I allotted myself, and I was just wondering now, is that a social norm violation? I mean, there's nothing wrong with singing. There's nothing wrong with wearing a large sombrero. Is it maladaptive behavior? I don't think so. He didn't seem to have any personal distress. He may have caused personal distress if you were trying to study, but he really didn't have any. Was it a deviation from an ideal? Well, not really, except if you listen to him sing. Then he deviated from an ideal of singing. What is it, a medical disorder? I never noticed any stress on his part, but nonetheless, it was unusual. It was atypical. Did that make it abnormal? I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think we should have taken the individual and put him in a straitjacket and taken him off to some psych ward. I do not believe that. Nor should we have the young individual who went barefoot. So these are some of the questions that we can ask. Now, we're looking at abnormal psychology in a historical context. Now, this is the definition from the text. It's a psychological dysfunction within an individual that is associated with distress or impairment in functioning and a response that is not typical or culturally expected. I mean, it makes sense to me. I'm not going to argue with it. I can go along with 1, 2, or 3 of those. I have a definition. It's quite a bit simpler than this here. And basically, what I maintain is a mental impairment that interferes with the daily routine of living, with the daily routine of life. They have some type of impairment. We can mention paranoia in here. If an individual is afraid, individual is afraid to ride in an automobile, and yet the individual has employment that's 10 miles away. How are they going to get to work? I mean, you can't ride a bicycle every day as a rule. So that type of behavior then could be considered abnormal. Look at anxiety. I think at times we all have a little anxiety. We all have a mood swing. We have a personality change, and these are some of the things we're going to look at. Sexual, we'll be talking about that later. Somatoform, we'll be talking about that later also. But as we look at these aspects, do they really lead to abnormal behavior or an abnormality where an individual should be placed in a psych ward? These are some of the questions that we have to ask. Okay, I'm going to end the video here. There will be another video put on with this that will be video 1B, and we will continue on with this topic. But we're ending it here with the definition, and you don't have to agree with this definition. I just like it because it's simple, and if it's simple, as a rule, I can even understand it. But a mental impairment that interferes with the daily routine of living. That's where we're going to leave this, and then we will be starting with the next video. So until the next video, we will complete this one.